Hello, guys. Let's get started. I am going to talk about interracial dating or intercultural dating and my thoughts and my suggestions and recommendations, which is really just on dating in general. But I'll give you a couple story times in there. I got to throw it in there. So I will say this, I'm going to caveat this. If you get triggered by seeing interracial dating or intercultural dating, like, you don't have to watch this video. I'm not here um, to say that all white men are amazing or all Hispanic men are amazing and all black women are amazing or anything like that. I'm here to encourage people to look at things outside of the color of someone's skin or their hair texture. But for, as you know, my son is his father is white, and as you also know, after that relationship, I went on to have a relationship and get engaged to a black American man. So I was looking for other things in characteristics. Both the gentlemen to this day I find are attractive, like, objectively attractive. But I mean, I was looking for things that would make them great fathers, great life partners, and things like that. So I wasn't really focused, just didn't really matter about the package. My preference, again, even now, I really don't have a preference. If you talk to some of my coworkers and friends, they think I do have a preference. And I said, no, actually, it seems like I have a certain personality. I like to do certain things. And so far in my dating experience, it seems like that sort of attracts a certain demographic, towards me. So, anywho, so about a few years ago, especially after the breakup, I wasn't really into social media and watching YouTube videos. I think that's mainly what I do if I do watch media or social media, is I watch like YouTube. I'm not on Facebook other than my business and my friends and family, but they already know, like, I don't post a lot. Um, so a few years ago, I was really trying to figure out what happened in my relationship. I was doing all this research. As I did the other video, do black men hate black women? What is going on? And so I was like, I don't know. And when I discovered social media, I even joined, or not joined, but I subscribed to a couple of channels that, I thought were onto something. But then I literally had to unsubscribe to them because it just got so toxic, and it was just like pointing fingers, and it was just really getting ugly. And I can't listen to that, day in, day out. And I found myself on a few of the channels, I would like, it'd be a Friday night and they had a live and they're talking about the dynamics between, I got into like the whole black women and black men and what's going on. I'm like, this is what it was really crazy, and it was a lot of foolery going on and people still, I don't know, it just got really crazy to me. So that's just kind of, I was just like, this isn't even a reflection of real life. This isn't a reflection. There's so many factors that they're leaving out. It was like one group was like promoting, black women to date outside their race or to explore their options, which I agree with that. But it was just like, and saying that they're just, I don't know, it was just seemed really ugly. So I had to sort of 86 that. It was just getting too crazy for me. Because like I said before, I'm not really concerned with the package. There are certain factors that I'm looking at when I think of a mate. And if I'm into dating, I'm dating to marry. So I'm not dating to just have a good time. I don't think I've ever in my teens and preteens even had that concept. I was just like, okay, I'll just be single. Kind of was the thing to me. If the person didn't want to be my life partner, I'm good. I was okay with, like, okay, if I'm just going to be single and I'm going to try to get out of the environment that I was in. I love my family so much. And they've taught me and they still continue to teach me. But there's a certain mentality if you grew up, let me just say it this way, especially for the black community, which I'm a part of. If you don't, it doesn't even matter the class sometimes. Sometimes I think we tend to have a very poverty stricken mindset, or Pookie and Ray Ray mindset, and we don't have to. And I thank God that I did have my grandparents, even when with my grandfather having his functional alcoholism and my grandma having her own issues that she dealt with. I think they really just taught me, hey, I couldn't go to school, I couldn't get an education, I couldn't do anything I wanted to do in the Army for my granddaddy. They were, at the time he went in, for the Air Force, they were subjected to a few MOSs, or if anyone like jobs, they couldn't do the same things as their white counterparts. So I'm so glad there's like, speaking a complete sentence, do your homework. Like, you don't have to do, I know we're in this environment, but you don't have to do that. Some of my cousins listened, some of us didn't. Some of us got into things later on in life. I mean, just living. It's not anyone's better than the other. You just have life experience. So moving forward, like I said, when I met my son's father, I used to joke around with race. I was kind of I got into like an Afrocentric mindset for like a period in my life, like in middle school. And then the whole OJ Simpson situation, I had my free OJ Simpson buttons as well, but even me as a middle schooler, I was like, I feel like he did this. Like I would told you I've always been analytical, and I was listening to the issues that were going on in LA, and of course the racism and cops, putting putting people in jail that didn't deserve to be there, mistreatment and racism and Rodney King and whatnot. But I was like already looking at the clues, and I would sit with my granddaddy and watch the news. So it's already like okay, and it just got to be like this black man versus the whole white system, and that was crazy. So that kind of opened my eyes, and so I stopped fooling with the whole Afrocentric stuff, like not in a bad way, and like I don't have pride, but I was just like, what? I started to look at the world differently, especially when I went to high school, and I told you it was such a culture shock to me. I'm like, white people, they're not on TV. Like, we gonna interact with them, they're gonna be my teachers. Like, I was so confused by that. And Pakistanis and Filipinas, and what is going on? Like, it was just really, I don't know, it was a very interesting time. So as I encourage people, I'm going to tell you all a story time. I'm kind of like a big sis. I'm not quite auntie yet. Like I said, I'm big sis. I'm not quite auntie yet. So I do a bit of matchmaking, or I try to. So I'm going to throw this out there for you all to think about. There's this young man who is like my work son. He's mixed as well. A different composition. I think his father is black, his mother's white. So I'm black and my son's father is white. But just a good guy, all around good dude. He's like a reservist in our United States military. He is just, he has a master's degree. He lives with his parents, but he's saving for a house. And if anyone knows about the DMV, especially Montgomery County, it's a very affluent area. I mean, they have their ratchet areas where I had to work when I was a police officer, but they're ratchet in the way I grew up, and maybe some of you guys that are in urban areas is not what we know as ratchet. But he's like literally has his head together. I think he's attractive, objectively. Not like I have any romantic interest, of course, but I just think, he's attractive. He's tall. He's like 6'1", 6'2". If that matters for some people, I know height seems to be a thing with our sisters. So I tried to hook him up with several black women, and they just, my opinion, they just shot him down based on the fact that he's mixed. So he does, have straighter hair. You can tell phenotypically that there's a mix, but his culture, he grew up in Montgomery County, which is like a very mixed and, like I said, affluent, county. So of course he interacted mostly probably with Asians and white people or whatever, but just an all around good dude. So, and it's been like a struggle, and I'm like the white women love him, but I'm just very saddened. So I'm going to tell you all a story, and I hope it works out. But there's this beautiful Wakandan Jamaican princess. They're the same age, early 20s. She has smooth skin. Just she's working on her master's degree. Like, just everything. She's kind of spunky. They're both kind of introverts. But I said, hey, you're single. Don't get me in trouble with this hashtag Me Too movement. But the different identities, and I don't want anybody to feel offended, but This is what people used to do when I was in my 20s. They used to say, hey, I got someone, you want to go meet up for a drink or have dinner or something. And it's crazy now. But anywho, sorry, I sidetracked. She was just like, she started asking all these questions, and I just was confused. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Like, is he a murderer, serial killer? Is he a drug lord? I mean, I get questions, but it's just very interesting. And she's the third black woman that I, sort of tried to set him up with. And she's, they're talking down, and whatever they do is what they do. But just leading up to some of the questions she had is concerning to me. It was like, who is he? And I'm like trying to be real discreet because you're at work. Like, look, let's meet outside of work. Like, you ask too many questions. And she goes, when she found out who it was, she was like, is he cultured? And I didn't understand that. I'm like, does he go to museums? Does he speak several languages? Does he is he a wine connoisseur? Whatever that word is. I didn't understand what she meant. No, it's not is he cultured, is he of culture? So I'm going to try to keep that in mind. So I'm looking at her like, does he know the Lord and this, that, and the third? And then finally I had to pull a time out. I said, listen, you know what? I'm going to be black and just mind my own business, do my little stuff because I got a lot of stuff to do. I just thought, hey, two single people, why not, I don't even want to be there. I mean, y'all are grown. This is what people used to do to me. I'm just mind my business. I said, but I'm going to just tell you something. I need you to think about your relationships. Have you ever dated outside of your race? She says, no. Have you ever dated outside of your culture? No. So I said, do you have a good experience from these relationships, or were they struggle love? She's like, struggle love. Okay. I said, so he may be something different, but in order to get a different result, you have to kind of do something different and maybe explore and date different people. So that's what's going to go into this interracial, intercultural. My opinions about it. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is that you discover what is important to you. What kind of dating are you doing? I get into this before. What kind of dating are you doing? And that essentially says, am I just out here living that thoughty thought life? And sorry, my son hates it when I try to be cool. So you all know, am I out here trying to be just casual? I'm really not thinking about the future. I would encourage anyone, men, women, neutral gender persons, be very careful if that's the block in which you are in. There's so many sexually transmitted diseases. I think people have forgotten HIV, and some people are still evolving from HIV, if they're HIV positive, to AIDS, depending on when they find out. And there are a lot of other strains that they cannot treat. So there are a lot of things that I would be very concerned if you were in that sort of casual dating. And I think I want you to sort of reframe your mind around casual dating in the sense that you can casually date someone, but that doesn't mean you have to have sex with them. I know. Shocking. I know. But I want you to start to look at things. You can just have a good time. I understand wanting to hang out with the opposite sex and stuff like that. So or whomever you're attracted to. So just consider that in your dating, as a dating option. So anywho, moving forward, I would encourage people to not allow the person's race or their culture to stop them or encourage them. Now, I do look at data. So I'm at a certain age in my life. I'm heading into my 40s. Most Black men don't want to get married. If they do get married, they marry older. They don't normally marry the people that are in their age demographic. Or as the person that I was working with, I think I would consider him a good guy, a good Black hang. I'm sorry for being crazy. But he made it, if me and my wife divorce, I'm not married again, because he doesn't really talk about any positive benefits of married, like to me, the non-Black counterparts that I work with. Again, this is just, I'm in a sample, doesn't mean that this is representative of the masses. So I tell you where you are in life. I'm at an older age, so I'm definitely not looking at race especially wasn't looking when I was younger, but I don't even include that in a factor. But I do know non-black men in different cultures tend to value marriage more. And they may have different reasons. It may not all the way be like religious. It could be cultural. It could be wealth based building. It could be just that they understand as you go older, it's better to probably have someone that you can trust and things like that. So again, going back to the culture of things, but so I'm in a different, I'm in a different demographic. If you're out there, you're in your 20s and 30s, I would, one, encourage you to figure out who you are, what you like. And two, for a lot of people, but specifically for Black people, and I'll do another video, we are like the smoke and mirror community. We do not, as just, and I think this is across all classes for Black people. I can't speak for anyone else. I mean, maybe I'm just speaking from my experience. I think we like to hide. We like to look at very superficial things. We are not thinking about long term. We tend to think about short term and gratification. We're not thinking about the long term, like the big picture. And we really get sidetracked and distracted by things. Popeye's chicken, Dave Chappelle. What else is going on now? I don't even have TV, guys. I don't even have whatever. We get, oh my goodness, Jay-Z did this and he didn't let the guy, he told the other guy not to take the deal. We get so crazed into things. Black Lives Matter. And don't come for me. Don't come for me about that. We just get so crazed about things that it prevents us from really taking a lens at ourselves and self-examining who we are and what we value. So sometimes we still have these underlying beliefs that, a certain hair texture is preferred, if our kids had certain or lighter skin, that's preferred. And so if those are the reasons that you're trying to date, outside of your race and outside of your culture, I would really tell you to take a step back and really go back to discovering who you are and trying to figure out where those things come from. And again, if you're dating and you really kind of like me, you don't care and you're just like, listen, I have these other factors that have nothing to do with race and ethnicity and culture or anything like that. It has something to do with, do we have the same belief systems? Will we complement one another? Can we grow together? I would encourage you to ensure that if you're dating someone and they're not from your culture, race, or ethnicity, and that's part of the dating. That's where we're supposed to guard our hearts, because now we have to understand, what is this person? Why are they interested in me? And we should have those questions really I wish I had that question. I wish I had that question for my ex-fiance who's Black. I had that question with my son's father, even very young. I didn't know I did. As soon as he was like, him and Han about the marriage after we had our son, and we hung on for a few more years, I was like, whatever. We can be friends and we'll figure that out. Now, let me tell you, I thought throwing that card, I thought he would come back and he would immediately, I don't know, at that time, I always call it I better not play with you guys, but, it's different. That's an expectation for most non-Black people. Like, marriage is a milestone. Whether you're into the whole westernized romantic view of it or just how they were raised, that's a milestone in their life. Like that is part of what is success for them, because they understand legacy building. I'm not saying that they're not Black people or Black and brown people that get married, but definitely that's kind of how they understand how you keep your legacy. It's generation building. So I would say this: I've had some very interesting experience once I started dating. Again, from speed dating to online dating and just meeting people and the assumptions that they have about a Black woman. Like, when I end up dating a non-Black man, is that I'm more sexually curious. Like I said, it was one individual. He seemed super nice on online dating. I have several stories about that from different men reaching out to me. We're conversing. So again, we have a similar like, so it's easy conversation. And then they either reveal that, one, they want to do either threesomes, they want me to join their wife or their partner, or they want me to do some sort of mixed sex groups with men and women or something, like group sex, I think that's what it's called. So, or they think that, Black women are more, again, sexually promiscuous. And I think the study shows that actually we're not. Um, but then you look at sort of the single parentage, and I don't know, you kind of, that's a whole nother discussion I'm not trying to have right here. But so you got to be careful about that. So there are some non-black men that fetishize, darker skinned women or women that are not a part of their race. So they really are not interested in you for, they're not doing what they should be thinking. They have other reasons, which are mostly sexual or physical. And some are status too, especially if there's some non-black people that have grown up in certain areas, or they're urban themselves, or they just feel really called to like an urban culture, which again, I guess in this world is synonymous with Black culture, which isn't true either. But okay, they feel like they get their Black card, or they get their invite to the cookout. And they kind of like that, and so they tend to, that's what's driving who they date. So if you got people, I mean, if they meet, those type of people meet each other, I guess that's okay. But I would encourage people to have a set of criterion, and not necessarily requirements. But there's nothing wrong with, saying, what, if I'm going to date someone and I'm going to date them seriously for marriage and for commitment, these are the things I'm looking for. If you're out here just doing a casual thing, be careful. Or if you're not looking for marriage or long-term or commitment, again, do what you do. But I would say interracial and intercultural, my feelings about it is like, I don't care. I don't want to, and I think the streets and YouTube land and social media can get real ugly about this, and I've seen it and I don't like it. And I think people have created their brand and their business model, and creating these groups, these cadres and of people that get together and they talk, and they point the finger, and they're like, that Black man is horrible, he hates Black women, that Black woman is horrible, she is a thotty thought, or she wants a sugar daddy. I just think it's very detrimental to get in that sort of mindset. I don't feel any type of way when I see a non-Black woman with a Black man. I don't feel any type of way when I see a Black woman with a non-Black man or a Black man. So, and I can tell you that was an evolution, because I didn't really care at all. But when I would see like true, like what I would consider true Black love, I would get, that's probably what would cause me to have a reaction back in the day. I'm like, wow, Black people could be together and there's no one's beating anyone. He didn't cheat. It's like, there's no struggle. They didn't have a struggle love chapter. When I mean struggle love chapter, I don't mean they don't have struggle. Like, I lost my job. What are we going to do? This medical bill came up. I got to take care of mama and them, or anything like that. I mean, struggle love is like when you manufacture and you create and you bring drama into the relationship. That's what I mean by struggle love. That's how I define struggle love. And I feel like, based on my experience and based on the periphery, what I've seen, Black men tend to bring that. But I'm pretty sure all men and all women do. It just depends on the person. So again, I'm going through an evolution of thought and looking at taking analysis and a self-assessment of things. But that's sort of my feelings. I mean, date who you have chemistry with. That's not necessarily just physical, but that's spiritual, mental, and emotional chemistry. And I just wish everyone well. I'll give you two story times to kind of real quick. I ended up talking to these two different guys at two different periods over the last 2.5 years or so. Met them both online, and one I went on a date with, and one I didn't. The one I went on a date with, white guy. Now I'm gonna talk about class, not in a mean way. Truck driver, just seemed like at that point I was like, I just want good people. I don't really care what you do. I mean, we don't have to be all degreed up like this, that, and the third. This seemed like a really good person. So we met up over Arundel Mills. Like, there's a casino, but there's like a lot of restaurants over there. So we met at this burger place over there, and it was interesting. I don't think, and let me just qualify this. I don't think he was an intelligent person, and I don't think he was smart person. And there's a difference, and maybe I can't qualify, but I don't think he was like intellectually curious. So I don't think if he saw something in a newspaper or maybe he even read news, um, I think if someone said something, and that's probably what gets into what happened with the social media and Facebook, or what we think happened from sort of the left side of the house or progressive side of the house, is that you can say something on these social media platforms and people aren't going to research it, or if they do research, they're not going to be concerned with the reference of that source of information and really dig down and try to put the puzzle together. Is like whatever's posted is sort of truth to them, on both sides and all sides. So that's concerning for a lot of reasons. But we get into the burger place, and our conversation, I can never nail down like exactly what you're looking for, and he gave me a sob story, but he ended up like trying to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And I had never heard it. I think I've seen it at a few ball games I've been to, but I didn't know the words. So he literally spent a lot of the date like talking to people and annoying them and singing that song, and I was just like, oh my wow. But that relationship, not relationship, but that never spanned, because then I don't know where I was like, well, maybe that's the first date, I can give him a second date. He's like, oh yeah, let's go on a second date. And so I called him, I said, yeah, had a good time yesterday, are you interested in going on a second date, or what's up? He was just like, yeah, my girlfriend says no, and he hung up the phone on me. So again, he was just very, like I said, not intellectually curious, very upset at his pastor for not carving out time for him. And when the pastor did, he got into an argument with the pastor about the philosophy, and it was just kind of like, okay. So he was giving me all of, I shouldn't have even been expecting the second date, right? Because he's already telling me maybe we're not gonna be compatible. The second person, we only talked on the phone and texted, and we started talking more, but he seemed really amped up. White guy again, from Prince George's County. So I say that because they tend to maybe be a little bit more urban thought, whatever. You're going to invite them to the cookout type of thing. Seemed really good. I forget where maybe he worked for like the local government or county government. Seemed really, but he very amped up. Black Lives Matter, a lot of, I listened to this, that, and the third, all these different rappers, very into urban culture, in the sense of when you think of urban culture, you think synonymously with Black culture. Just very, or Black artists, and just in that life, and we got to be concerned. And he was giving me advice on, hey, dating white men, be careful for this. And I'm like, oh, my son's mixed. Like, is this not my first time on a rodeo? And that don't mean, what are you talking about? Like, he was very embroiled in sort of the race. And I'll be honest, that's another discussion later. I'm not necessarily, I don't know if I believe there's a Black community as a collective, as how we refer to it in a lot of the media, and a lot of, I just don't know. I'm still on that, just based on living. And I think I used to believe that, but I don't think we can define what it means to be part of the Black community. We can't define it through religion. We can't define it through food. We can't define, not anymore anyway. So that's a whole nother discussion. And he just went off on me. And I was just like, when he went off, I was like, I just think we have different temperaments. Like, even if I have a disagreement with someone, or we have opposing views, I appreciate more of a discourse. I want to know why you think a certain way. Let's walk through each other. I think when people get to name calling and all that other stuff, that takes away from the actual discussion, and that lets me know that you're not intelligent. So he was like, are you saying I'm not intelligent? I said, no, I'm just saying, like, you're getting upset, you're yelling. And then he hung up the phone. And then I texted, I was like, okay, again, this, you just demonstrated that. And he was like, shut the F up. And it was just, guys. So be careful out there, men and women and neutral persons, neutral gendered persons, whoever you're dating, especially before you expend a lot of your effort and your time with them. Definitely meeting in persons, and please be careful about people being in your personal space and meeting them one-on-one without a public. Good luck to everyone out there. Let's kind of move on from the interracial, intercultural arguments. love is love. Just put some time into what it means for you. That's outside of the physical. And okay, bye guys.